What's up everybody? Today I wanted to make a little video on something that a lot of people have requested, and that is my favorite music video transition. Now my favorite transitions to use, especially in music videos, are masking transitions. I like masking transitions because for one, they look super cool. Two, you can get super creative with them. There's a ton of different ways you can use masks. Three, they're relatively easy and relatively quick. And four, again, you could just do so much with them. Ever since I learned masking transitions, I don't think there's been one video, especially not one music video, that I've done without using a single masking transition. That's how much I like these transitions. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. I'm super excited about this one, so you should be too. So here's some footage from a music video that I did some editing on earlier this week. And I just want to show you a couple masking transitions that we can do between these two clips right here. So this first transition I'm going to show you all is a pretty basic masking transition. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this money kind of fly in to the position it's supposed to be in. So what I want to do is I want to make a duplicate of this second clip. So to do that, I hold Option down on my keyboard and drag up, and that makes a duplicate clip. And then I click on this top clip and I go to the first frame of it and I right click on the clip, and then I go down to add frame hold. So when you click add frame hold, what it does is it makes your clip a still image. So once you added your frame hold, you want to come up here to your effects tab and you want to click the pen tool by opacity. Once you have the pen tool selected, you want to come over to your program tab and you want to make it full screen. You can do that by pressing the button next to the one. I don't know what it's called, but that little squiggle button. If you know what it's called, drop a comment. But if you press that, it'll make it full screen. So now what you want to do is you want to make a rough outline of whatever your subject is or whatever you want to have flying into the shot. So in this case, it's a pretty easy mask because the money is rectangular. There's not a lot of curve to the money, but we'll get into that later. So I'm really just outlining it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer you get to perfect, the better it's going to be. So when there's a little bit of curve like this, you can click when you click to add a point, you can drag out and it'll add a little curve in there. If you want me to make a more in-depth tutorial on how the pen tool works, let me know and I will do that. So there, that looks good. And now it looks a little crazy because it's not on the first frame, but there you can see it matches up nicely. So once you have your subject masked out, what you want to do is come down to this top layer and drag it over. And then if you press C on your keyboard, it'll bring up the cut tool, and I like to trim the clip to where the beginning of the second clip starts. So that way it's like it falls into place, or it comes right into place. So that looks kind of cool right there, how it just pops into place. But we can make it look a little better through keyframes. So to do that, you come over here to that masked layer and you create a keyframe on the position and the scale or whatever you want to change. But it's very important to put these keyframes at the end, because that's the position that you want it to end in, because that's the start of the next clip. So once you have those keyframes at the end, you can do whatever you want to your subject and move it in whatever way. So in this case, we're going to move it up. So it's going to come falling into place. So that's kind of cool. I would say I would want it faster, so I can drag this keyframe a little closer. Now it falls in. And I'm still not happy with that, so let's see what it'd be like if it came in from the side. So that looks a little better. But you get the point, and that's how you do the first masking transition. So the next masking transition I have for you is kind of the same thing, but it's just the opposite. So you're going to take the first clip and you're going to make a duplicate. Again, just by holding Option and then dragging up. And once you have your duplicate, you're going to go to the last frame of the first clip. And then you're going to go to the top layer and you're going to add a frame hold. And then this front clip you can delete. And this back clip you can extend because it should just be a still frame. Yep. So now we have our clip and then it ends in a still frame that looks like that, and then our second clip. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have this clip come in and then I'm going to mask out his glasses and transition through his glasses into the next clip. So to do that, we're going to go to our clip with the freeze frame on it, and we're going to go to our pen tool in our opacity tab in the effects panel. And then once we have the pen tool selected, again, we're going to hover over the program tab and we're going to press that button that's next to the one. If you can name that button, I will love you forever. Drop a comment if you can name that button. But you press that and it makes it full screen. So now what I want to do is I want to mask out one of these lenses in his glasses. So I'm going to do this one right here. And to make it just a little bit bigger, I'm going to come down here to where it says fit. And I'm going to make it 400%. And then I'm going to find that lens again. So now I'm just going to make a rough outline. It's a little blurry, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just as best as we can. And that looks good. And then we're going to bump this back to fit. So if we can scroll over, we can see that this doesn't look right. It's the opposite of what we want, so we just want to come over to our effect controls and hit the inverted button in our mask settings. And there you go. So now we have this clip, and then the eye disappears. And that mask is a little rough and a little harsher on the edges. So I'm going to come into our mask settings. Now I'm going to bring our mask back a little bit by lowering the mask expansion. And then I'm going to bump this feather up to about 40. And that's going to make it a little softer and make the masking transition just look a little better. So now all we got to do is we got to keyframe the actual movement of going through his eye. So to do that, what you want to do is you want to select that freeze frame clip. You want to go up to your effect controls. And then before you add any keyframes, you want to hit the word motion at the top. Once you see this grid, you want to hover over the center until you see these arrows. And then you want to select it and you want to drag this little dot over his eye. So what that dot is it's your anchor point. So if you were to scale up your picture right now, it would consider this the center of your picture instead of the actual center of your picture. So with that being said, we're going to jump back over to the Effect Controls tab, and we're going to add a keyframe for the position and for the scale. And then we're going to drag those keyframes to the front of the clip this time, because again, we're starting this transition with the first clip instead of the last clip. So we're going to start with that first position and end with it completely cleared off the screen. So once we have that first keyframe, we want to come to the end of the clip, and we just want to bump the scale up until we can't see that first clip anymore. And then we just play it back. And that's what it looks like. So you have a transition going through the eye. And you can come in here and you can mess with the clip and make it longer and shorter and make the keyframes longer and shorter so that it takes longer to go through the eye or goes through the eye a lot quicker. It's just all your preference. So I have one last masking transition for y'all, and it's kind of a combination of the two I already showed you. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to have this second clip come in through one of the O's in the 100. So to do that, we're going to make a duplicate clip. So we're just going to hold Option and drag up on our timeline. And then we're going to go to the front of the clip and then right click on that top layer and add a frame hold. And then now we should have a freeze frame, and we do. And then we're going to come into our effects tab, and we're going to hit that motion button, and we're going to take the anchor point and we're going to make it in the middle of one of these zeros. Yep, and that looks good. Let's make it full screen to double check. Yep, that looks great. Now we are actually going to create the mask on this layer. So we're going to press the pen tool next to the opacity. We are going to press that button next to the 1 while we're hovering over the program to make this full screen. And then we're going to come down here and make this 400% so it's really up close on that 0. And then we're going to try to make the best little mask we can in one of these O's. And then we're going to come back out here, hit fit, and then I already know we want this inverted. So now we have our clip with the tiny little mask in between the 0. It's hard to see, but it is there. So now we're going to take this top clip or our masked layer and we're going to drag it over our first clip. Make sure it ends at the start of the second clip. And then we're going to make our keyframes for our scale and our position, and we're going to drag them to the very end of the clip because that's going to be our ending position. And now we come to the start of our masked clip and we bump the scale up until we can't see the money anymore. So in this case, I bumped the scale up all the way and you can still see it. You can't go all the way through the money, unfortunately, but that's okay. If you play it, you still get the same feeling. But to make it look a little smoother, you can fade in the clip, and to do that, all you got to do is come back into your effect controls, come down to your opacity settings, make a keyframe for when you want the clip to be at 100%, and then come to the beginning of your clip and lower your opacity down to 0. So when we play that back, it looks a little better, but it's still not exactly what I want. But one thing you can do to really make it look better is if you come into your keyframes and you right click on one of your keyframes, it'll bring up all these settings. And for this first keyframe, I'm going to do ease out. And then on this last keyframe for my skill, I'm going to do ease in. And what that does is it just makes the keyframes a little smoother. So I like that a lot better. It ends, you can see that ending is way smoother than it was. It used to be way choppier, but now it really just sinks into that spot. So that's a little brief rundown on masking transitions and 3 different ways that I use masking transitions. But there's a whole world of masking out there, so definitely go check it out, go get inspired, and get creative. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or concerns or any video requests, please drop a comment. And if you're enjoying the content that you see here or get any value of it, please subscribe to this channel. It's the best way you can support me, and I greatly appreciate it. But for now, I'll see y'all in the next video.